Welcome to Transformational Pathways, a podcast created by Toastmasters District 46 in the greater New York area, where we share conversations from influencers within the Toastmasters community and people whose lives have positively transformed by walking down the Toastmasters path. Whether you're just getting started in your career, have had recent career changes, or you're navigating different languages, we're here to help you build confidence by discovering new tools, overcoming your fears to find your voice, and engaging in a thriving community. Enjoy today's episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Toastmasters District 46 Transformational Pathways podcast. I'm your host, Scott Mason, and walking the pathway with me today is our guest, Kira Seale. Kira is an on-air TV scheduling specialist for NBC Universal LLC, and she previously worked for the NBA. She's also the host of her own purely awesome video podcast, which we'll be discussing later in the show. But for now, Kira, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Scott. I love that intro.
And as the Carpenters would say, for those of us who are of an age where we might know, we've only just begun.
Hey.
Hey. Well, let's just get right to the questions, but I'm going to start by quoting something that you quote in your LinkedIn profile. When you look on the Kira Seale LinkedIn profile and there's the About section, it says, forget about the fast lane. If you really want to fly, harness your power to your passion. Honor your calling. Everybody has one. Trust your heart and success will come to you. That was the great Oprah Winfrey that said it. You chose to put that quote defining who you are. Explain.
Absolutely. I love that you also included that quote in this. So I am just so passionate about that message. I mean, Oprah Winfrey, she's so inspiring to me. And I just believe that sometimes in order to get where you're supposed to go, it might take longer than others, but as long as you get there, you do the work, you're actually growing yourself, helping to grow others. That's what really matters most of all, instead of just getting in the fast lane and going somewhere fast that you don't even want to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was reading a column about people who had number one hits in the 80s and 90s recently. And there was a story earlier this week just about someone who did that. He was a one-hit wonder. He was very young. His star rose super fast. He wasn't able to follow up. He just didn't have it. And he ended up killing himself. Not to put a sour note on the show right from the beginning, but to me, that sort of goes as to the importance of really having the chance in life to walk that path.
Yes, absolutely. I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
That just really touched me that you brought up that story. And I don't know that individual person's journey, but I do know, like, in my life, there have been times where I kind of went with what other people wanted me to do, and it really wasn't in my heart. But people said, oh, do this job, you'll be successful, or do this. And it left me feeling really empty. So that's why I try to be a lot more intentional with my time and my work these days so that I am not left with a bunch of regret.
Amazing. So then I've got to ask the very next question. Is Toastmasters one of those things that you feel has been worth your time and that has left you with fewer regrets than not?
Absolutely. Green Speakers is, I know this probably will sound cliche to some, but this is absolutely true. It's one of the best decisions that I've made in my life. I always felt pretty comfortable in social situations, but when it came to professional settings, networking, going to job interviews, I had a lot of anxiety. I was very nervous about, do I sound intelligent enough? Will I come off confident enough? And Green Speakers helped me so much with that. I really don't think I would have started my YouTube channel without it. I don't think that I would feel as comfortable speaking up for myself in my personal life as well as my professional if it wasn't for that space that gave me so much warmth and encouragement.
I love it. Kira, let's step back a little bit. Who are you? Where did you come from? You just didn't pop out of the ether somewhere, did you?
No. Gotta thank my parents for that.
Well, it would have been pretty cool if you did just sort of pop out of the ether. So where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl. Central New Jersey. It does exist. There's like this huge debate. And you look on yes, it does. And I am originally from Somerville, New Jersey, a small town. I am so blessed to have a lot of friends that I've been friends with, some of them since like high school, middle school, and even elementary. So I'm definitely kind of a small town girl at heart, I guess you can say, but I decided to branch out, and for college, I went to DC. I went to Howard University.
Oh, great.
Yes, the prestigious HBCU.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was such a change because growing up, so Somerville is pretty diverse, but the next town that I moved to when I was 9 years old was completely not. I was one of the only Black students in the whole school, and that was really
wow.
for me. Thank God I had a lot of wonderful friends and teachers, but I felt very other. I felt a lot of times like I didn't really belong and I was so different. And I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to be around people that look like me. And then later on moving to Brooklyn, meeting all different types of people that look like me, that don't, that think like me, and have their different views. So that's a little
interesting.
Me. Yeah.
So when you left Howard, how did you end up in Brooklyn?
That's a great question. There weren't a lot of jobs in my hometown, Scott. I got to keep it real. There were not a lot of jobs. I majored in journalism. I'm a writer. I love to do film. I did some short films with my friends on the side. And Toastmasters definitely, once again, helped me to prepare for my writing with the speeches and all the different activities. But yeah, I guess I came to New York because there were a lot more opportunities there, and it was more of a creative environment. And also one of my best friends was moving there for work, and it just seemed like the perfect timing for us to live together.
If you're going to go somewhere and be creative, I've got to say, Brooklyn, is it?
Absolutely.
What part of Brooklyn did you live in, Kira?
I was in Bed-Stuy.
Oh!
Yes, Biggie.
Stop it. Where in Bed-Stuy?
Off of Troop Avenue, so very close to the Kingston Troop stop. That's
very, very nice. And had you been in Toastmasters before you came to Brooklyn?
No, I had never been in Toastmasters before.
Had you ever even heard of it?
I only heard about it from one of my good friends, Erica. Shout out to her. I'll have to tell her to listen to the podcast. I heard about it from Erica because she also was struggling with public speaking, and I had never heard of Toastmasters before. And she's the one who actually told me what it was. And then I went on Meetup. Meetup, as we know, is an excellent resource. Yeah. And that's how I found the club that I'm in, because it could be on my way home from my work commute, because I actually was still working in New Jersey, but my job has a free shuttle for all New York employees.
Gotcha. So talk to us a little bit about what you were doing at the time, and then how that whole conversation with your buddy came up.
Oh, I was having a great evening with my girlfriends. We were sipping wine, talking about our goals and our dreams. This is very therapeutic, I might add.
Yeah.
And we just started talking about different goals that we had for the following year. It was actually in the fall of 2018. So that's how long I've been a member. That's
very nice.
Very shortly after I joined. And I heard her with her goals, and I had certain goals with my writing. And I just did my own research, and it felt as though one of her goals also could align with me. And my friends and I were very supportive of each other. She wasn't like, hey, girl, you're copying my goal. It wasn't anything. That's how it came to be.
I love it. And were you nervous about going to your first Toastmasters meeting, or did you just say, hey, I'm here, I'm walking in?
Scott, I was nervous. I'm sure a lot of people can relate, because most of us were going because we probably have a little bit of a fear of public speaking. I was very nervous. I did not know what to expect. It was a community club. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't even have the corporate safety net. If these people don't like me, I don't know what could get. Who knows?
Right.
The clubs are great, but my club specifically, so communal. All different types of people from different walks of life. I felt incredibly comfortable. Someone came up to me right away and started telling me about the program. Shout out Nishant. And he was so kind, and he told me that I even could have access to a mentor. So they really welcomed me with open arms.
Wow. And tell us about your first meeting.
Absolutely.
Did you speak?
I think I did a table topic. I did. They called on me for a table topic after some people went first. I can't remember the question. I'm sure it was filled with a bunch of ums and ahs and all sorts of things. But I got up and did it. And it's funny because Jean, she's been a long-term member. She was there, and now she's a very close friend to me. So not only did it help me with public speaking, but it also helped me with my personal friendships as well. And we went on a trip a few years ago together.
Wait, I want to make sure I heard this right.
Yeah.
You met someone at Toastmasters, and the next day you're going on vacation together?
Okay, no, not the next.
Metaphorically. That would be kind of funny if you were going the very next.
This is my friend, Jean, my friend. She and I, we just developed a friendship pretty quickly. I wouldn't say the next day, but maybe about meeting 4 or 5, we started talking even on our own. And my club also, we would go get drinks afterwards a lot of times for the meeting. So that was even more connection with members and hanging out even outside of the meetings if you chose to.
What was your icebreaker about?
My icebreaker, I will never forget it. It was about my love for film. I am a huge film buff.
Really?
My family and I will watch black and white movies. I'll watch all different types of genres. I do not care. Betty Davis, she still kills it to me. I love film. And at the time, as I stated before, I was sometimes working on my friends, like short films and things like that. So I just spoke about my love for that and how even from when I was a young girl, I always wanted to be a storyteller. I always wanted to be a writer.
Wow.
And I think as I got older, I would say high school age, I kind of strayed away from that because I was very insecure in high school. My grandmother had passed away my freshman year, and that made such an impact on me and my family. And I felt very lost. I wasn't engaging in the things I used to. I wasn't doing anything creative. I was just really, really sad. And actually, really nuts that we're doing this today because today's the anniversary of her passing. I feel like her energy is here, like around us right now, and I'm really grateful for that. But yes, after she passed away, I was very lost. I wasn't writing anymore. But thank God, as I got older, I came back to that. Right. I'm giving a lot of credit to Toastmasters because writing speeches kind of opened up my mind to get back to my fictional writing as well.
That's actually something that we haven't covered in this podcast yet, but I think it's an important thing for us to delve into, and that is the relationship, if you believe that it's there, and I'm guessing that it might be, between Toastmasters' ability to help us find our voice and the emergence, or in your case, the reemergence of the creative process. Do you have any thoughts about that, Kira?
I love that point that you're making. Yes, I think that sometimes, whether you're a writer, musician, just the act of doing that thing, even if it's not, you're not putting so much pressure on yourself, like I'm trying to make this piece of art. If you're just simply writing a speech or you're trying to do a presentation, I think just working that muscle,
right,
writing and focusing on something and then having to present it could definitely give you the confidence to do and make some of the art that you want to. I think it is linked because you're using those same tools sometimes.
I love it. Do you find that Toastmasters has had any impact on your professional life outside of what we just talked about?
Definitely. I have met a wonderful mentor from it, Jesse Shinto. He even has his own executive speech consulting company.
Really?
Yes, he does excellent work. He's a professor as well. And from there, I even got to meet his girlfriend, and now she and I are accountability partners with each other. And she's incredibly intelligent. So I feel like now, for one of the first times in my life, I actually have people coaching me in a sense to get to that next place in my career. and have that support that I didn't necessarily have before.
Yeah.
Has it led to a really huge career promotion? Not yet. If anybody's watching, my information is down.
Exactly. Promotions are always welcome in the house.
Yes, it's definitely helped me.
The point, though, that you made about coaching, I want to go back to that for a second. As someone who is working with coaches myself, but who resisted it for a long time, I found that for many years, it almost was as if I were somehow admitting a weakness or an intellectual ability, or the ability to learn that if I were to take on a coach. At the same time, I would be frustrated because I had difficulty during the majority of my professional life getting mentors. One of the things that Toastmasters really brings to the table, at least in my opinion, but you can, of course, disagree with me, is the mentoring system that sets people up to learn how to be mentors, but also to have mentors. Talk to me a little bit about that, and talk to me a little bit about how the process of being coached or mentored, either in Toastmasters or in your own life or both, has helped you be set up for greater success.
Yes. So same as you, I never really felt comfortable having a mentor. My reason was a little bit different. I felt as though maybe I wasn't ready or I would be disappointing, just very insecure thoughts. But the way that Toastmasters handles mentorship, I think, is excellent because it didn't feel like I was a burden on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It felt as though he genuinely wanted to help me and we were still equals, but that maybe he knows a bit more about this skill set than I do. So it didn't feel like he was being pretentious and I didn't feel as though I was inadequate. It felt just more of a level playing field, in my opinion, rather than back in the day when I was younger and I'm over here trying to go to my professor I barely spoke to before. It was so awkward and forced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Now, talk to us a little bit about exactly what you do with NBC Universal. It sounds really glamorous. Is it?
I wouldn't say glamorous, but it's definitely very interesting. And there are glamorous moments. Let me not say it's completely.
I'm jealous.
What I do, I'm an on-air TV scheduling specialist. I schedule 3 sports networks that all air in either California or Northwest. And what I do, I literally get the programming grid from our programming team, and I'm in this system called WordsbyKira, where I'm literally inputting the data. I can't believe I'm saying that word from our conversation. Don't worry, y'all, it won't be long.
And just so the audience knows, in the pre-show, I always tell people, don't talk about spreadsheets during the show. Kira, sin.
Basically, I have to input the information for the show, make sure the sources are correct so that it airs correctly on TV. That's essentially what I'm doing. And I had a really interesting opportunity this past year where I got the opportunity to schedule for the Olympics.
Whoa.
On the NBC for the first time ever.
Whoa.
Yes.
I'm really impressed.
Thank you.
Was it hard? Was it scary? Was there pressure?
I was definitely nervous at first, but I had an excellent team supporting me. I got really great training. And then we also, so since TV never stops, there's literally a day crew and an off hours night crew.
Right.
We were working we did such an excellent job being a team and really having each other's back during that time. So yeah, we really pulled it off. We did a great job, I have to say.
Now, how has being a Toastmaster played out for you at work itself and in the work environment that you're in? Or has it?
I think it has, once again, with that feeling that I have a right to speak up and I have my voice. In meetings, I feel a million times more speaking up. There was an issue before with the process and the workflow was really not the best. It left a lot of room for error and I was noticing it and it was putting a lot more pressure on me unnecessarily. And instead of me just biting my tongue, bearing with it and continuing to do a process that I knew wasn't correct, I had a whole meeting. I brought in multiple people. I said, this is the issue. I think we should go about it this way. I had the support from my boss, and I had never done anything like that.
Wow.
In such a big meeting like that. And I definitely credit Toastmasters for giving me that ability.
That is so inspiring. For so many people, the act of calling a meeting like that and raising your voice to be able to speak up about a real problem that you're facing is something that, particularly in large organizational environments, folks have trepidation around. They may feel as though they're going to rock the boat. They may feel as though they walk into the meeting and they're not adequately able to state the problem, or they're not adequately able to withstand the pushback that people may give them, or they may simply be so nervous in the meeting itself, particularly if it's the first time that they're at the head of it, that they may not know what to say. I remember for years I would go to meetings and just sit there quiet because I didn't know what to say. And no one would ever accuse me of being introverted. What was the shift inside, and how did it feel once you were able to take that step and do that?
I felt incredibly proud of myself, and my boss later on, he spoke to me and said, "You're getting it. You're going above and beyond now." Wow. And I really felt seen in that moment. And it was, what I said was right. It really made the process a lot better, and it was just making the whole workflow more effective. So not only did I stand up for myself and I was a leader, I also made business better as well.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because one would not immediately think of Toastmasters, for instance, as empowering someone to make operational changes. Mm-hmm. Yet here is a story of an unusual and surprising benefit of having engaged with Toastmasters, business workflow improvement. That's what operations is. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Now, is it true? I mentioned earlier just some gossip that I heard. You have a YouTube show?
Yes, the streets are talking.
The streets are talking. The sidewalk speaks.
Yes, I do. It's called WordsbyKira, all one word.
And tell us a little bit about that.
This is my pandemic baby. I was sitting at home. I had a lot more time on my hands without a long commute.
Yep.
And I decided that I wanted to do something productive, self-care, self-love related, because I'm incredibly passionate about that. I wish everyone would feel that love for themselves. I think that it would make the world a much better place and ultimately help us treat each other better. Because if I treat myself well, and you treat yourself well, I don't think there's going to be so many reasons for us to fight and do harm to one another. And I decided I was going to start a YouTube channel. A few of my friends always suggested that I should. And I'm like, I don't think I can do that, or I don't know if it's the right time. But I love YouTube so much for years. And I decided to finally pull the trigger, and I started making content. I talk about self-love, goals, tips, joyful living. And I also interview all sorts of people, that from life coaches, therapists, educators. We just talk about living more joyfully and loving ourselves better.
I love it. Did you being a Toastmasters have any impact on you starting this, and has it played out in any way as the show has gone on?
Absolutely. I actually did a video talking about Toastmasters.
Really? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I wanted to talk about public speaking because I know it's a huge fear for a lot of people. And I'm so passionate about green speakers. And I explained to them why I joined, how I joined my first day, similar to our little blurb today. And I felt amazing that I had this thing to share with other people that could potentially help a lot of others. Yeah. And I decided to do the video about it.
I love it. And what is the most challenging thing about being a YouTube star? I want to know so that when I'm finally one, I'm prepared for the limelight.
Yes. Well, the paparazzi,
Yeah. Oh,
No, actually, I don't want that. I don't want paparazzi. I think for me, the hardest part is just staying consistent and wanting to make sure that my content is helpful and interesting, engaging, and also marketing. I could probably do a better job. So I guess I have multiple things I want to work on with it.
Well, whatever you're doing with marketing, though, you have a good following. And so all that's going to do is escalate it from A to A plus. So that's more power to you. I'm actually a little bit scared and impressed at the same time. And jealous. But that's a whole other conversation we'll have. If you were to give a single piece of advice for someone who is an up-and-coming, emerging professional such as yourself, when they're thinking about perhaps looking into Toastmasters, but they don't know if it's really right for them or if it's something they should do, what would that piece of advice be?
Go. Try it. What is the worst that can happen? You should go. You might absolutely love it and be lucky and find a whole tribe of people that help you and encourage you. And it just being able to speak in different spaces and feel confident about yourself and know how to articulate your message is incredibly powerful. It can lead to all sorts of opportunities, like this podcast, for instance. Yeah. I would have never been asked to be on this amazing podcast if I had not done Toastmasters. And I think that you should bet on yourself, invest in yourself. If you don't like the club, try another club. I think there's no harm in at least giving it a shot to try to go to a meeting.
And that does raise one point. I noticed that you chose the word invest when you were describing Toastmasters. Why did you choose that particular word? That was a very interesting, albeit off the cuff, but very interesting word choice.
I view it as an investment in yourself. You are going to be going to meetings. That's your time. You're going to be preparing speeches. That is also time and effort and work. But all in all, it's going to lead to your growth, elevation, better career opportunities. Hopefully, you're giving something, but you're also receiving so much more.
Yeah.
But in order to invest in yourself, you have to put something in.
Yeah.
That's why I said that word.
Really, really interesting. Tell me, and keep it real, if you had to name one speaker and one leader who you found truly inspirational or aspirational, who would those two individuals be and why?
First, I have to go with Maya Angelou. Her whole life just inspires me so much. Her speaking, the way she commanded any room she was in.
Yeah.
Her poetry, I think she was a phenomenal woman and a phenomenal speaker. So definitely Maya Angelou. Ooh, number two, there's so many amazing speakers. Oh, I guess I have to give another Black girl magic, Michelle Obama. So graceful, eloquent, strong, but still warm. That is the type of speaker I would love to be. I feel as though I've always had warm, and now I'm really trying to lean into also powerful. And that is something that she absolutely exudes. So those are my two.
Kira, there is no chance in heck that anyone who listens to this isn't going to want to find out more about you. Where can they go?
You can go to my YouTube, WordsbyKira. You can also go to my LinkedIn, Kira Seale, and I would love for us to follow each other, and I really appreciate the support.
It has absolutely been wonderful. And again, I have to give a shout out for your show, just the energy you bring into it and the humor. It's really fun. Kira, it has been great having you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. Now, for those of you listening or watching, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review or a comment. Kira knows how important those comments are on YouTube, especially, right?
Yes, comment.
Please. And don't forget to follow District 46 on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, as well as Twitter. If you're new to Toastmasters, check out Toastmasters46.org. That's Toastmasters, toastmasters46.org to find out more about us and do exactly what Kira did. Join a club. In the meantime, don't forget, Toastmasters is where leaders are made.
Thank you so much for joining us on Transformational Pathways. If you enjoyed today's episode or got anything out of it, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about Toastmasters District 46, check out the link in the show notes below.